Luke 18, verse 1. I want to read 8 verses, and then we'll back up and talk. Then he spoke a parable to them that men always ought to pray and not lose heart. I want to read that first verse again. Then he spoke a parable to them that men always ought to pray and not lose heart, saying, there was in a certain city a judge who did not fear God nor regard man. Now there was a widow in that city. She came to him saying, get justice for me from my adversary. And he would not for a while. But afterward he said within himself, though I do not fear God nor regard man, yet because this widow troubles me, I will avenge her, lest by her continually coming she weary me. Though I met that lady. Then the Lord said, hear what the unjust judge said. And shall not God avenge his own elect who cry out day and night to him, though he bears long with them? And I tell you that he will avenge them speedily. Nevertheless, when the Son of Man comes, will he really find faith on the earth? I know that this is a pretty well-known story, and it ought to be, because it's one of the times the Lord talked to people about prayer. If you look at all the things the disciples could have asked Jesus to teach them, the only thing I remember was they asked him to teach them how to pray. It has to be the result of them watching him engage with the Father and coming and capable, able to display heaven on earth is a term I'll use. They break through in this disease, that disease. We find him retreating, if you will, sending the crowds away, going up on a mountain to pray. And when he came down, there was something upon him. It wasn't that it wasn't there before, but they must have been able to visibly see something going on in and through Jesus' life that would cause them to ask Jesus, please teach us this one thing, this one thing. Faith brings answers to prayer, but enduring faith brings answers with character. Faith brings answers to prayer, but enduring faith brings answers with character. The Lord is interested in answering prayers, but he's also interested in what we're becoming. If he ever delays an answer, it's only so that it might gain interest. It's that it might gain interest and that we might become the people capable of stewarding well the answer and not have the answer destroy us. In this parable that Jesus gives, he starts with this statement: men always ought to pray and not lose heart. And the next thing he does is he gives this parable. But what does he do in the parable? I understand the point of the parable is endurance in prayer, persistence in prayer. I get that, and that's the primary lesson. Or I should say, well, that's the point of the parable. But the primary lesson, I think, is a bit different. Jesus says men ought to pray and not lose heart. So here's his will, here's the challenge. And how does he fix the challenge? He reveals a part of God's nature. He says, what you know about an unjust judge, if he would answer this woman, how much more will I, as a loving father who actually cares for you and the process, how much more will I not answer for you? So what does he do? He causes the people summoned to pray continuously to live more aware of the actual nature of God. Let me put it this way. The ability to endure in prayer is fueled by our understanding of his nature.